G'day, welcome back to Module 5 of AdWords Fundamentals. We're going to talk about writing ads in this module. Specifically, we're going to talk about search ads or ads for the search network. And we'll focus on expanded text ads as they're currently called. By the time you see this, they might be called something else. Google likes to change the names of things fairly often. There are lots and lots and lots of different types of ads that you can show in just the one Google AdWords account. As I say, we're going to focus on search for today because that is where I highly recommend that you start. Once you have more experience with Google, then you can worry about what is known as the Google Display Network. Essentially banner ads shown across a range of 2 million websites or more and over 1 million apps at this point. You can show ads inside those apps. You can show ads on YouTube. You can show these little square images with prices underneath called shopping ads, or to old school people like me, PLAs, product listing ads, meant to be called Google Shopping ads. There's all sorts of different sizes of those banner ads. There are text ads on the display network. There are things called responsive ads, and there's Gmail ads. There's loads of different things. Let's just focus on search ads. And a search ad has these various components, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. You need a final URL. So that just means, where am I sending the traffic to? What's the URL where we finally end up after clicking on an ad? It used to be called a destination URL. So if you've done AdWords a little bit in the past and you're sort of revisiting it and you're wondering why the name has changed, it used to be called destination URL. It's now called final URL. Then you need two headlines. They're the maximum of 30 characters each, headline 1 and headline 2. What's called a display path. You'll see that on the example in just a second. There's a thing called a display URL, which you no longer have any control over. Google takes the top level domain, the bit before the /, from your final URL, example.com/page1. It takes the example.com and makes that the display URL. And then you get the chance of putting another couple of chunks of text after that. So /zebra/onion. I don't know why you'd have that, but you could if you wanted to, as long as they're not more than 15 characters in length each. So path 1 and path 2, 15 characters each. And then you get an 80-character description, where you can obviously sell the benefits of your product or service. And that all looks a little bit like this. So at the top, when you're adding this to your Google AdWords account, now remember we've had the tour in the second module. If you can't remember how to find this, you're going to look for the Ads and Extensions tab down the left-hand side. And then you'll see you've got Ads and Extensions and More. Well, we want to be underneath the Ads tab here. And then it's going to prompt us to fill in the ad. So we've got our final URL. So in this case, we're going to the homepage of briantracy.com. I then want a headline 1. In this case, that's where it says Brian Tracy International. And it tells me, if you look over to the right-hand side, just underneath the question mark, it tells me I've used 25 of the available 30 characters. So that's cool. You don't have to use them all. Certainly not. You just can't go over the 30. Headline 2, we've gone with Achieve Your Goals Fast. There, again, 25 characters. And then the display path. This is what I was just talking about. So I don't get to control the briantracy.com bit. That is taken from the final URL. And then I've got these two paths. And you can see that the first one, Achieve-Your, has used 12 of the available 15 characters. And then the second one, now it puts the / in for you. You just have to fill in the bit in between. And the second one, we've just gone with goals. So that's obviously 5 characters. And then the description there. You can see my team have used pretty much all of the available 80 characters there, 79 used. Tools you need to maximize your personal and corporate success. Change your life! ! Now, you cannot put exclamation marks in headlines, but you can put them in the description, and you're only allowed 1 per ad. I'll talk about editorial guidelines in a second, but that's one that catches out a lot of people. Question marks are fine. Use as many as you like. Use them in the headline if you want, but only 1 exclamation mark, and it can only be in the description character, in the description field, I should say. And over on the right-hand side, you can see a little preview of what that ad is going to look like. And in this particular case, it's what it's going to look like on a mobile device. There's a little disclaimer at the bottom there. Your ad might not always include all of your text. So Google reserves the right to shorten it slightly or not quite show all of that headline too, or maybe not all of the description. But for the most part, don't worry about that. It doesn't really matter too much. That's how it's going to show your ad. And so you write your ad inside the Google AdWords interface and hit save. Now, we'll talk about ad groups and campaigns in a little bit, and we'll talk about the structure of your AdWords account. That's coming up in the next module. For now, all I want to focus on is these ads and thinking about how much room we have available. And you need obviously a minimum of one ad to go inside this thing called an ad group. And I'm going to describe an ad group to you in a second. What makes AdWords so wonderful is that we can test ads against one another. So if I give you this example, let's focus on the left-hand side first. If we're running a search campaign, we've chosen our keywords. We've already done that in the last module. Now we get to write a couple of ads, and we can test these against each other. And there could be massive changes in there, or there could be very, very small changes. You can see the headlines. There's not a huge difference here. Testing Brian Tracy versus Brian Tracy International. The paths are the same. Path 1 and Path 2 is the same. The description in this case is the main difference. So we're testing different descriptions there. And we'll talk about how we choose this and a measure of success and so on later on. But ultimately, which one makes you the most profit? There's lots of different measures of success. The main one is going to be how many people click on each ad. For every 100 people that see this ad, how many people click the ad? That's going to be one measure. The other one might be how many leads do I get for every 100 people that see the ad, or for every 100 people that click the ad? How many leads do I get? Or maybe even the cost of the lead. But generally, what percentage of people clicked? That's probably the easiest one to use when you're starting out. Now, I'm not going to talk about the display network or banner ads in this course, but just to give you an idea, you can do the exact same thing over on the display network, and you can test banner ads against each other just the same way as you test text ads against each other. And little changes there can make a huge, huge difference. Now, for this client, obviously, we're going to test pictures of the man himself. Usually that works rather than showing a picture of someone that's not him. But you never know, and you never know which picture is going to work or which headline is going to work. So the key to the whole game, the thing you have to remember with Google AdWords is you must test. I actually say that the main reason you have a Google AdWords account is so that you can test different things. It's a side benefit of Google AdWords that you get all this lovely traffic to your website. The main reason that you have AdWords is to test and be a real marketer and to test one thing against another so that you can do more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. Let's talk about things that you can therefore test with your search ads. By far, the most important thing that you want to test is the headline of your ad. It's been said by people smarter than me in the past, the headline of an ad is 80% of the ad. If they don't read the headline, they won't read the ad. Certainly the headline of a landing page is the key thing on that landing page. The job of the headline is to get them to read the first line. The job of the first line is to get them to read the rest of the first paragraph. The job of the first paragraph is to get them to read the next, and so on and so on and so on. So it goes with ads. Make sure you test different headlines. So even if you can't think of anything else to test, make a copy of your ad, copy it into the same ad group. And again, I'm going to talk about structure in the next thing and talk about ad groups, but you create a copy of your ad and you go in and you change one of the headlines. So you can be testing headline A against headline B. And you've probably heard the expression A/B testing. And that's what we mean by A/B testing. Testing thing A against thing B. It could be one ad against another. It could be one landing page against another. Back in the day, we used to be able to test domain names and test one domain name against another. That's much harder to do that this day and age. We won't worry about that now. Test the call to action. What are you going to ask somebody to do in that ad? Are you asking for telling them to come and download a PDF? Are you asking them to sign up for a free consultation? Are you asking them to make a booking or call you on the phone? What is it that you're asking them to do? And be very explicit about that call to action. Test different benefits. Now, we could probably talk about benefits for an hour and the difference between features and benefits. Best copywriting tip I was ever given is when somebody writes a sentence, put "so what" on the end, answer that question. That's generally going to be the benefit. Established in 1973, that's a feature. That's not a benefit. But if you go "so what," that means we've got over 40 years of experience and we know exactly how to deal with all of the problems that are going to show up. Now we're getting closer to a benefit. So that blah, 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 blah. And you can keep going, keep pushing until you've got that sort of core benefit. Put those benefits in your ads. In other words, sell the click. Tell people why they should be clicking on your ad and tell them how you can help them. Don't talk about yourself, talk about what you can do for them. And then the last thing that's usually worth testing are those paths, those 15 character path 1 and path 2 that we saw before. So to help you with writing ad, now you can do a search for this. You go do a search for action words. I'm sure you'll find lots and lots of blog posts. I've just put a few down here for you, things that you might decide to use. So just in case you're listening to this on audio and you're not actually watching the slides. Ready? All right. Go, buy, get, tap, tap on this, whatever now. Beat, feel, lift, open, pick, save, shop, talk, apply, begin, order, score, decide, enroll, redeem, select, compare, imagine, uncover, increase, customize. And that's just the start of it. You'll find blog posts with hundreds of these action words. Use action words in your ad copy. It's a good rule of thumb. It tells people to go do something. If it says compare blah, 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 blah now, then you're telling them to come to your site and compare. Redeem your coupon now. Now, if you're going to write Google ads, then you must be aware of Google's policies. Many an advertiser has fallen foul of this sprawling list of policies. Facebook have them too, I know, but AdWords tend to be a little stricter than Facebook. So you could either do a search for Google AdWords policies, you'll probably find this page, or you can use that short code up the top there to find this same page. Please make sure you at least scan through the main areas of these AdWords policies. In particular, pay attention to the editorial guidelines. You'll see that over on the right-hand side, 4 up from the bottom, editorial. So visit this page and then go click on editorial. It'll tell you things like that exclamation point rule that I told you about before. It'll tell you about the characters that you can and can't use in your ad copy. There are quite a few rules, silly little things that you might not think of, like you can't use the phrase "click here" in your ads because Google don't want a whole bunch of advertisers all saying "click here, click here, click here, click here," because they think it's kind of implied in an ad that you'll click on that headline because it's underlined and in blue. Well, it's probably not underlined anymore, but you get the idea. And if you're selling something that Google isn't much of a fan of, adult content, alcohol, firearms, etc., gambling, then, well, there are ways to do that, but you're going to have a much harder time than if you're selling something that Google doesn't mind as much about. But definitely, please go have a read of the Google policies. It'll make life much, much easier for you. Thank you very much. See you in the next module. Bye for now.